Belize Watch. Knowledge of the past, impacting the present, building the future.
Jump and shout all over the nation. Breaking out with a new creation.
On most days, Margaret Hendy can be found at her food stall in front of the Philip Goulds International Airport in Ladyville. She is the proprietor of Margaret's Hearth Food. Our Belize Watch team stopped by to find out more about Hendy. We will have that conversation for you after we hear from our partners, Honorable Kevin Bernard, the Barry, the Belize Tourism Board, and Shell Belize Limited.
In 2 years, Madam Speaker, we have built 3 new fully operational health centers. One in Coquetry, one in Belmopan, and another in Kikaka. In a matter of weeks, a health center in the community of Santa Marta will be completed. And thanks to the Minister of Tourism and Diaspora Relations, we are constructing a polyclinic in Placencia as we speak. We have totally upgraded health centers in Ladyville, in Hattieville, Valley of Peace, and in Georgeville. The one in Georgeville was just completed. That is tangibly working for the people.
We are the Barry, offering you great products, good service, and of course, the lowest prices in the entire country. Visit us in Belize City, Belmopan, San Ignacio Cayo, Honduras, and now in San Pedro, La Isla Bonita. The Barry. Get more, pay less.
Shell V-Power with 3 times more cleaning and friction-reducing molecules. Go well. Go Shell.
Savor every moment.
Experience our country. Go the extra mile.
And just dive in.
We are Belizean travelers. Are you?
It don't matter what part of the jewel they come from. You da you and me da me. But guess what? All are we the one. See what I mean?
The sign says, welcome to Margaret's Hearth Food. Stew cow foot, beef, stew pork, stew turkey wing, curry chicken, stew chicken, fried chicken, barbecue pork ribs, barbecue chops, fried fish, stew beans, pigtail, split peas, pigtail again. Oh, one, and then oxtail, but they had 2 pigtail up there.
One is split beans, pigtail, and one is red beans, pigtail.
Oh, that's why 2 pigtail up on the sign. Okay, I am with Miss Margaret Hendy. And I know Margaret, I've known Margaret for many years, and my name for her is Hearth Margaret, even though her business is Margaret Hearth Food. Margaret's Hearth Food. So, Margaret, thanks for agreeing to talk to me once again. But I'd like to start from the very beginning and we can remind ourselves who is Margaret Hendy. I know you were born somewhere around Flowers Bank area. In fact, you tell me the story.
Thanks for having me, Chief, radio listeners, television viewers. Thanks for having me. And my name is Margaret Elizabeth Hendy. I was born and raised in the village of Flores Bank. My dad, my mom, Vallan Hendy, Constance Hendy, Bud, and my 10 siblings, Eustace the late, Elswit, Merlin the late. Sad to say, she recently died in a house fire almost a year ago. And then me, then you have Delverine, Kenneth, Cedric, Anthony, Norma Jean, and Valan Hendy. Those are my siblings.
No. Flowers Bank. What can you recall of Flowers Bank when you were growing up?
Growing up in the village of Flowers Bank was very tough. It was very tough. I came from a humble beginning. My dad raised us from just farming. He had never been employed. He was a cattle herder. He grew his farm. He raised us from his farm. He sell whatever he could from his farm. So talking about life hard and you can't make it, imagine he raised 10 kids from his farm. The later ones, they were educated because at that time, you know, the older ones could have afforded to, you know, they get a job and they could have afforded to, you know, help with the younger ones to get their education. But not that we wasn't educated because we had the primary school in Flowers Bank where we go, but on such a level as primary, no? But the others, they had made it to high school and they're well off with their education.
No, Margaret, what did your father do on the farm? I mean, what crops did he have on the farm and what sort of animals did he raise?
Okay, Daddy raised the main thing, he was into cattle. He raised a lot of cows, then he have the pigs, sheep, and well, you know, the chicken and the ducks and the turkey is more my mother's thing. And for farming, there was corn, rice, beans, pumpkin, squash. He raised us from his farm, and he feed his animals from the farm as well. When it comes to corn, the horse get the corn, the pigs get the corn, and the children get the corn. Yeah. Some sort of way we would get the corn, like when the corn just start coming in, to be balkan, dukono, until when the corn start getting older and older, then it becomes hard. So my mom would do a section in like making corn tortillas and make us some cornbread and stuff like that. But the horse and the pigs would get the ground corn.
Okay. So everything and every person ate from the land, right? Oh, yes. You lived off the land, yes. So there was no need to go shopping for certain things. What would you shop for, really?
Or like if Daddy would go and, you know, he would sell a cow or sell some stuff from off the farm, he would then bring the flour, the lagitana flour, the salt, stuff like that. That sometimes the beans, if the beans don't come in good at the farm, he would purchase beans, salt, beans, shortening, and not much shortening to that say baking powder because we would make the kuhun oil as well. Yeah.
So you can really. What I'm trying to get after is that here we have an example of a family being raised and living off the land itself, right?
Yes, yes. And we would wake up in the morning early. We would go to the farm. My mom would comb her hair and she would put that stockings on her head from the night. So we would get up early in the morning. Well, the older ones, not the tiny ones. And we would go to the farm, like from sometimes 4, 5 in the morning. We would be going with flashlight with her dad to the farm. And we would go and help him for maybe like an hour and a half. And we would go home and then take a shower and school.
How did you adapt to that life coming and sort of blending your education into being on the farm and at the same time going to school? How did that work?
Being a child and going to the farm, to be honest, at that time you didn't see, you didn't understand that there's a reason why our parents work so hard on the farm to sustain us. We think that it's a lot of work, and we're tired, and we have to go to school, and we complain. But the older you get, the more you understand the reason why you have to go to the farm, because that's what Daddy do to sustain us. But we don't want to go today, and we want to sleep late. But now that you're grown, you really understand why.
Could you share with me some of the memories you have at the farm?
Yes, Mr. Rene. Some little things sometimes.
The incidences that happen when I make you.
Sometimes when we all get together on a family day, we would just laugh, laugh, laugh about it. There was a time when one of my aunt, she take us. Now me and my sister, we sharing the same horse. We'll be in the same horse. But there was a big tree across the road, and I tell my sister, "Don't make the horse go so fast." And and the horse just jump over the tree, and there my sister start going right under the horse belly. The belly of the horse. But looking back at those things now, it's fun. It's fun.
And what about school? What was it like going to school in Flowers Bank?
I love going to school in Flores Bank. I used to study hard. That I know. I used to always want to top the class. We have some certain students. We are family members as well, and we would have competition. Teacher used to have this big blister board on the wall that he would have silver star, green star, red star, and when you hit the silver star, you know you're top. So I'll be always trying to stay at the top. Me and two of my cousins. So I look forward to keep my star going across. And for that, that is a motivation for you to keep studying, you know. And stuff like that, we have to like go to the farm in the evening as well. When we come from school in the evening, it's like drop your book bag, change your clothes, and off to the farm. Daddy is at the farm all day. Mom would cook him up some lunch. He would take his lunch, and Dad would stay at the farm because it's a distance, it's away from home. So we would go to the farm in the evening and come back, get to your book before it's too dark. We didn't have electricity. So you know if the minimum kerosene oil in the gallon is going down for the lamp, so we gotta get our homework done really fast and take a shower and get to bed. It's a lot of children to raise, so you have to be conservative with whatever it is.
Now, I happen to know that you're related to the bud, right? And that you're connected with that, that the buds are very close to that song that Lord Rayburn wrote and made very popular, Bud Bank Wedding, right? They have one wedding, the Bud Bank Sarah married to Long Lip Frank, and perhaps you knew the characters too. So tell me the story behind Bud Bank Wedding as far as you know it, Margaret.
Yes, my mother is Constant Bud. She actually from Bud Bank. My grandmother, Elizabeth Bud. And well, you know, there's only a few that I can say because my dad and my mom get married, then have children. So I come after the Bud Bank wedding. So it's like, yes, so I have to tell the tale from what I heard. Lord Rayburn had this band, and there was a cousin of mine. His dad was my granduncle, Mr. Jim Bud, and he was Raymond Bud that was playing in the Lord Rayburn band, and I guess they all put that together, and he started making this funny song of my mom and my dad, but it becomes a big thing, it is, you know. Everybody loved this Bud Bank wedding, Sarah married to Langley Frank. That's my mom and my dad.
Okay. Sarah and Langley Frank. Why would they call him Langley Frank?
My dad was Burrell Hendy.
So he call Langley Frank?
Yes. Okay. But you know, it's a song. They make funny jokes.
Course,
yeah. And my mom is Constant Bud. My mom's was from the Stain side of the family here in Ladyville, and she married Bud.
Okay. And so I read up on the bass and the Baba out of place. Then come Mr. Mars playing the jabo.
Names in the song. Only a few names in the song I can recall when they say Mildred and Tunsi. Yeah, that was my grandaunt, Mildred.
Tutsi invited Sarah and Pupsi or something like that.
But you know, Mildred and Tutsi was the same person. Because we used to call her Aunt Tuts. Her name was Mildred.
Okay.
Yes, so it was the same person. So I don't know something, the way how he put the words together for the song.
Yeah. And yeah, so he said, take your bride home. Dang, 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 dang. Yeah, that became a very popular song. That song was recorded by Lord Rayburn way back in the 60s. One of the early songs placed on record by a Belizean band, you know, in Guatemala. And it became a hit all over, you know, Bud Bank Wedding. Yes. Still is a beautiful song to listen to, you know.
You know, there's something still in me. I used to go to Bud Bank when I was little. I would stay with my grandmother, Elizabeth Bud, when for the summer holiday. And now that I'm grown, I still want to go back and find Bud Bank. Yeah. I don't know how to reach there. I know you go Sand Hill, then you take a road through what do you call it? Davis Bank. You make a left, but I don't know how far I can go. But I always want to go back there.
So you haven't been to Bud Bank for how long then?
From since I maybe was like 15, 16 years old.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's a long time ago. And Bud Bank still exists as a village?
I
As far as you know?
I don't know if anybody lived there, but I know my Aunt Nella. But Aunt Nella Bud, I'm sure you know her.
Yeah, I know Miss Nella. I know Miss Nella Bud. Yeah, we spoke to her.
I always talk about want to go back and live there. And sometimes I would say, Auntie, why you want to go back there? Nobody there, and you're getting old now. Where you want? I still want to go back there.
And then there's a story a bit about Bud Bank too that George McKeesey did when he said the Dory named Buddy Bud. You name some man Bud sir, you name Nicholas Bud sir, it's a Bud sir, and he says, well, all I want to Bud, so surely the Dory guy name. He said, yeah, the Dory guy named Buddy Bud sir.
I said, no Bud, no. Yeah.
So it's so familiar. They were referring that he was really referring to that the Bud family from Bud Bank.
Yes, right? That's my family.
Okay, so it's nice to establish these things, you know, to be able to look at them. Because they're part of our culture, you know. The Bud Bank wedding thing really is a part of our culture, you know.
I can remember as a child in Bud Bank, there was a creek. I believe it must be Bud Creek.
Bud Creek, yeah.
I don't believe it may be Bud Creek. But there wasn't a bridge there. That was this big tree across the creek. And I can recall when they have a dance or something out there and the guys, they would go to the dance and they come back drunk. Now they have to walk on this big thing across. And I could remember one of my uncles said, I don't know why I get cross. The other one said, you crawl like a guana on it. Like crawl on a guana, because if he step on it and he's intoxicated, he will go in the creek. Lie down and then crawl across. Yeah.
And then the picado, well, you have to look for the Bud Picado.
The Bud Picado. Mr. Rene, I think that place grew up so bad, I don't even think you could find a Picado now. But one of these days, I'm going to take a tour down there.
So nobody lived at Bud Bank, that's what you tell me.
Nobody. But now that I'm thinking about it, I tried to remember, where did they put my grandmother to rest if it was in Bud Bank? My great-grandmother, that's something I need to ask my uncles.
And so Margaret, then you have this family history. You went to school. You after you came out of school, what did you do when you graduated from primary standard 6?
What I did was I stay on the farm with my dad. I used to love go with my dad to the farm. My dad used to tell my mom, I don't know. Can't say I don't know what I want to make out of. But she would jump on the horse, and anything my dad is doing on the farm, that's what I'm going to do as well. And I did that until maybe like 2 years after. Then I went and get me a job at the factory, the Dickies company. Okay. Williamson Dickies, yes. By then I was maybe like about 18 years old. I went to the factory. I got a job there, and after that I get into marriage and family. I live in the city for 7 years. And then
you work at Dickies?
I work at Dickies. That was the only boss I had throughout my whole lifetime, Mr. Larry McLaren. That was my only boss. I worked there for like 21 years.
21 years. And you worked in various positions at Dickies?
Yes. I start as a sewing machine operator, then a statistic quality control, and after that I move up to a line supervisor, and where I was trained and to do some trash courses to learn more as to how the garment come in the factory from start to finish, meaning that I go even at the barge, where the containers they come to see all that. And well, it was like a group of us where they sent us to Jamaica, where they were opening a factory out there. So it's different experience working at Williamson for those years. And then I moved to Ladyville.
A lot of Belizean women, especially those that live in the southern area of Belize City, worked at Dickies, right?
A whole lot. Dickies company, we used to have like sometimes 22 buses. Some go
22 buses moving ladies back and forth to the factory every day.
Yes, I was one of the bus drivers as well.
Okay. So, but how many women were employed at Dickies? I'm trying to remember. I know it was a lot.
It was like sometimes over 300, depends on how the productions flow. You know, because you got sometimes when they cut production, so you know, maybe they overstock in their store with certain garments, maybe fireproof. We're not doing fireproof right now, and maybe we're not doing Dickies overall right now. So that production, if we used to do maybe 5,000 for a week, maybe cut to 2.5. So when doing that, what we as supervisor would do, we would juggle around and utilize the operators them wrong. Maybe you used to be from that section, maybe I need help in that section than to, you know, put you off the job, you know. So that's how the company, so that's how the figure would go down at times.
Yeah. Nevertheless, 300 ladies employed, all sewing, that's a tremendous thing. I would really wish, and as I say this, so that we could get such a factory, because it would be nice for something like a sewing factory to be open that would sew uniforms for our army, for our police, for our school children, instead of importing. You know, I think that is something that would be very nice.
I'm sorry, it was all export.
Yeah, because Dickies did it for export, but right now we are exporting our sewing instead of sewing our own stuff here at home.
Right. Was export.
No, after you left Dickies, you left when it closed down or before?
No, unfortunately, I was paid off, and I can easily say I'm proud of it. It's a learning experience for me, and whatever I learned from that company within working with the company, I instill it right here in my own business. And the reason I was paid off is because Mr. Rene, we would say Creole, when trouble catch you, picnic shot fit you. So this is my life story, and it's when you telling the truth, it doesn't matter, just the truth. Unfortunately, I was separated from marriage. That was 1998, and the same year, I lost my job at the company. And the reason for losing my job at the company, I had a child in high school and one was going in. So I had two. So I was a cake decorator. I used to do wedding, birthdays, Valentine's on the side, my side jobs that I do when I go home in the evening. And I start doing deli food for the Shell gas station and the Puma gas station. So I would drop all this stuff off in the morning, then go to work. And driving one of the buses for the company as well. Wow. Yeah, so one day I would say, you know, that is too money and still not enough. Wonder what else I can do. I start thinking, if I could make all this stuff for the 2 service station, maybe I can do the same for the factory, the gate, where I work. So I went across the street and I talked with my neighbor, and I asked her, if I do these deli foods and Johnny cake and fried jack, stuffed fried jack and stuff like that, would you sell them at the factory? And she said, sure. So I let her use my SUV. I would, just as I wake up early in the morning doing the deli food for the service station, I start doing for the factory. Yeah. So she would drop me off. I was doing the bus. I was driving the bus. So I would go to Pongyard to pick up workers and come back, and she would be using my car because everything is already in the back. Okay. So she would just come across the street, and she would get in my truck, and she would drive, go to the factory gate. Sometimes when my bus is coming from Belize City, from Pongyard, when I'm driving in, my vehicle is parking there. Okay. But she's selling the stuff. Okay. And there was maybe I break the rule, because there was a rule that the company that only there you work, you do nothing else. You cannot solicit or sell stuff or have a syndicate or stuff like that in the company. But I thought that was something outside the gate. But finding out that it was me who was doing the stuff, the food, and the lady was selling it for me, it hindered my job. Okay. Yes, it hinders my job. But it's okay. When I learn over it that, you know, it is what it is. If this is why I'm losing my job, fine, maybe it's a door open for me. So it hurt for the beginning, but afterwards, when I really get it, I start buying more pots and stuff like that. I said, you know what? I will start do lunch too.
Yeah.
I will start do lunch too. If I have the time now, I could start doing lunch. So I do the breakfast in the morning. Mind you, I didn't fire the poor lady. I still keep her, the lady that was selling the stuff. So she was working with me as well.
Okay.
And I didn't go to the factory for long after that, maybe like a month or so, when I used to left the factory 7, and whatever burgers and fried jack and Johnny cakes and whatever and stuff like that I still have, I would go to Boeing and Boeing, Coca-Cola factory gate. And when that is done, I would start taking food order, lunch order, then I go home. And I do the lunch and I come back and drop off. That was my new job. Yes, that was my new job. So one day, there was a boss from Belizean factory that he used to stop by to buy the burrito. And one day he said, you know Miss Margaret? And I say, yes, sir. He said, we're opening a canteen across there. Would you like to come and see it? I say, okay. He said, you can come Tuesday, 1 o'clock. And I said, okay. And I went over and he gave me a tour of the brewery. The canteen, the whole entire brewery. And he said certain stuff to me that this is the rules, and if you want to try it, you can do it like a month and see if it will be beneficial to you, and then you can go upstairs and you can sign up for the contract to keep the, and it was only $380 a month overhead, come fully furnished with stainless steel, whatever, you know. And the only thing was that you would be on call. Because if we have the staff working in the night, we would need lunch for them in the night, and not a problem. So, Mr. Rene, when the first week finished, I said, I ain't going nowhere. I'm going nowhere from there. That was a good business.
So you stayed? You stayed there?
I stayed there.
How long were you there?
Maybe like 9 years. The Boeing and Boeing. The brewery, the canteen.
Wow.
Yeah. So, after that, the brewery. A matter of fact, I was in the brewery. I had 3 employees at the time. I was in the brewery, and I still had the mobile driving through the brewery gate and come around to Coca-Cola for breakfast and for lunch.
Okay.
Yes. So
you're quite an entrepreneur, Miss Margaret, you know.
I try my best, Mr. Rene. And I learned that sometimes stuff happens, you buck your foot, you stumble, brush off and move again.
Yes.
It's for a reason. Get up, brush off and move again. And the one thing I would say, never lean in the corner that say can't, because then you have to condition your mind that I can.
Yes.
Then it will happen. But if you keep, I can't. Can't is a disease, it's catching.
Yeah.
Don't lean in the can't corner, because that's what will happen. It never get done.
Well, Henry Ford, may he rest in peace, said, if you think you can and you think you can't, you're right. If you think you can, you're right. If you think you can't, you're still right.
That's it, exactly. You won't if you keep saying.
Yeah. You know, you won't do it if you keep saying you can't do it. You have to keep saying you'll do it. And every fall contributes to something better.
Yes, progress. Yes, that's what I learned.
So looking at you now, listening to your story, when you left the Williamson, right? That must have been okay. Yeah, a little setback for you, right?
Not for long.
That's right, not for long, because of the way you think. Yes. You see, you saw opportunity in that, as again seeing that was the end of things for you. You saw, okay, this happened for a reason. Let me find the reason. Let me move ahead, and let me do my own thing. You know.
All I did was just went out. Of course, I had a long-term service with them, and of course I get some benefits from them while I leave. I just went shopping, went to Mirab, and I buy me some nice pots, and I start cooking, and here I am today, still cooking.
Still cooking, huh? Still cooking, and we are going to get to today in a little later on, but I want to deal with the earlier part of your life as well, because I know you were good in sports as well. You were one of our softball stars, right? And tell me about a career. I think you can tell it better than I can.
Okay. My life in softball starts right the Flowers Bank. My dad was the village council chairperson, and he had 5 daughters. And whether you like it or not, you're going on that field playing. But for my other sisters, better you than me. That was their word. Better you than me. Throughout all 5, I was the only one keep going. Only one keep going. I remember when there was the older girls like Claudia Flowers, Gwyneth Gray, Marjorie Flowers, all these ladies, bigger girls than me. I was just a tiny little girl. And I was running around to pick up the ball that went fouled off all the way. I run, bring it back. Run and pick up the bat, bring it. And one day I said, I wish my daddy would put me to play. Yeah. I remember that clearly. And I remember late in the game, my dad hailed me and my dad said, come. And that was the beginning. He put me at shortstop.
Well, what were you then, Margaret?
Probably about 10, 11. Yes. Okay. And right off, I was the tiny one with Miss Marjorie Flowers and Gwyneth and all them girls. I was right there among them. And ever since, I believe that Dad saw something in me going. And the older I get, the more my dad trained me. And one day my dad said, you're going to make 5 laps around this field this evening. And I said, oh my goodness. I think my dad think I'm a horse. I think I'm a horse. But the other thing, when my dad have we out there practicing softball in the evening, stop the ball, and if you keep missing the ball flying through your feet and go all the way, my dad would say, just leave the ball, take a lap, then come back. He was so strict on the softball. So for that being like that, I believe that motivated me to be a better softball person growing up. You know, I didn't want to miss softball. And I remember when they used to have these big games, international games at the MCC ground, and that coming over live, I would just go and lie right in front of my dad and my mom bed with my ears at the radio just to hear the game that is playing at MCC grounds. So that's how I get myself more into softball. And I play in Flowers Bank until like I said, I leave and went to get a job at the factory. But I still used to go back on Sunday and play with the team. Until one day I said, let me go in Rogers Stadium. And there when I got signed up with Mr. Raymond Lashley.
What happened
yes,
there?
Mr. Raymond Lashley.
Late Raymond Lashley, indeed, he put together the Golden Girls of softball.
When we come back, Margaret Hendy shares more about her softball career. She also takes us through what a typical day is for her. We have that after we hear from our partners, Honorable Kevin Bernard, the Barry, the Belize Tourism Board, and Shell Belize Limited.
In 2 years, Madam Speaker, we have built 3 new fully operational health centers. One in Coquetry, one in Belmopan, and another in Kikaka. In a matter of weeks, a health center in the community of Santa Marta will be completed. And thanks to the Minister of Tourism and Diaspora Relations, we are constructing a polyclinic in Placencia as we speak. We have totally upgraded health centers in Ladyville, in Hattieville, Valley of Peace, and in Georgeville. The one in Georgeville was just completed. That is tangibly working for the people.
We are the Barry, offering you great products, good service, and of course, the lowest prices in the entire country. Visit us in Belize City, Belmopan, San Ignacio Cayo, Orange Rock, and now in San Pedro, La Isla Bonita. The Barry. Get more? Feel less.
Shell V-Power with 3 times more cleaning and friction-reducing molecules. Go well. Go Shell.
Savor every moment.
Experience our country. Go the extra mile.
And just dive in.
We are Belizean travelers. Are you?
It don't matter what part of the jewel they come from. You that you and me that me. But guess what? All are we the one. See what I mean?
Tell us about the Golden Girls of softball, Miss Margaret.
I up with Mr. Lashley and playing with them. And sadly, I was elected to go travel with the team.
Why you say sadly?
Because I was dating and I had invitation out there for my marriage. I was getting married. So while the date for my wedding, I would have been away.
So what happened?
So I tell Mr. Lashley, I think I'm not going to go with the team this time. And that was the time, I don't know if you guys would recall when there was some players, they didn't finish the game. And that was in USA though. Some of the girls didn't came back. They move around and to family members and they couldn't make their team and whatever was left came back. And that, I don't know if they came back a couple days before my wedding, but that night for my wedding, Mr. Lashley, Miss Gretel, and there's a little one by the name of Fish used to go around with Cook team. 3 of them came in my wedding that night. I never forgot. And I said, man, look what would have happened. I would have been right among the others. But I don't think I would have stayed.
No, because you were coming back. You would have only postponed your wedding.
Yes. So, I keep playing with Coca-Cola of Mr. Lashley. And I was a pitcher as well. And then I get pregnant my first child. So I was carrying a maternity and I was off the field. And there was somebody else filling my spot at Coca-Cola, on the Coca-Cola team. So when I go there, like sometimes I would, come on and maybe a couple of the games. Well, I guess I gained some weight too, and maybe I wasn't performing as first. So that's okay. And one day, Mr. Charles Solis started.
I remember Charles Solis, he did Solis ice cream.
Mr. Solis said, I know you could become a good catcher. I need a good catcher. I know that you could catch good. You used to catch the Flowers Bank, man. I say, I'll see, Mr. Solis. So I start the next season. I sign up with Mr. Solis. Mr. Lashley say, I don't know where I do, Margaret. He gone over the Solis. But I start catching for Mr. Solis. And that was Sancas Johnson.
Yes.
So I catch for Mr. Solis and I did both. Sometimes I pitch for him or catch for him, and that team start taking off. Yeah, start taking off. So there was a thing where if you play in the city, you live in the rural and you play in the rural. You play in rural and you play in the city. There was a time when the softball associations had put a ban on that. The reason why is because there's the thing that they call the nationals. Champions of champions that happen at Rogers Stadium on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. But if your team here in the rural that you're playing on, and your team, because you're playing on 2 teams, you're playing here on Sunday and playing here in the night, in the city in the night. So if this team qualified for the champion of champion that you're playing on in the city, and this team in the rural that you're playing on qualified, so what team you would play on when you go to the champion of champion? So they cause a whole puzzle there, so they start put it aside. Because that was when I moved to Ladyville and I went and signed up with Lord's Bank. So I was playing for Edison Park's Sunrise on Sundays. And then I would go in the city in the night and play with Mr. Charles Solis. Now, both teams playing nationals. Mr. Solis looking at me and Edison looking at me. So what you going to do now?
So what did you do? What did you do, Margaret?
I think that time I played with Sunrise.
Yes.
Yes, and that's the reason why they banned it. You live here, you stay here.
Yeah.
And ever since I've been playing with Sunrise softball team for 16 years, 16 long years I've been playing for Sunrise. And they've been showing up at Rogers Stadium for nationals too, playing right against Mr. Solis.
That's right.
So I had always said, I start playing softball in Flores Bank, I'm going to retire in Flores Bank.
That's what you said.
Yes. And one day, after the season finished, I went up to my dad the Sunday. He was still alive. And I sit under the house with him and I said, Dad, next year I will come and make one softball team back here. My dad said, you sure, my daughter? I said, Dad, I'll come back. I soon retire. The rest of the years that I be playing, I will play here. Now my little cousins, Shara Shana, my cousin Robinson Flores Bank say, you know, we could play softball good, you know. We only need help. Margaret, she did her last bank to make them be champions so long. She could come help we. And I say, okay, girls, I'll come. Dad said, sure. I said, Dad, yes, I'll come. But first of all, I have to clear up this whole front of this ball field. There's a big tree fall down at the ball field. When I go to Rogers Stadium, the place look nice, nice bleachers, you know, nobody sitting on the ground.
Big one look the same, right?
Yes, man, I want my village look good too. So I get there and I get a bulldozer and clear up all that, and I say, you know, but first of all I have a meeting with the people then first. I know just, you know, I'm from there, but I'm not living there, so I just barge in and, you know, do this and that. I call a meeting and everybody come out to the village at the community center and I start talking to them and tell them what my intention is. You all agree? Sure, yes, we are help, and we start getting help. Did the bleachers, start putting some filling on the ball field, and Mr. Rene, we start working out in the evening. We start working out, but first of all, I make it clear to my family, the Parks in Las Bank, what was my intention. I didn't just move away. I said, Miss Carol Parks, we're family, they're my cousins. I said, Carol and Mr. Edison, I think next year I'm going to Flores Bank. So I know just haul the rug, you know. I just tell them what I'm going to do. So they was okay with it, and they were behind me to 100% supportive. So now the season begins. The marathon was held in Doublehead. We were practicing, the girls, teaching them we need to engage your body for what you want your body to do. You're going to stretch before the games, we're going to exercise, make circles, stretch, everything. Because of what I learned at Rogers Stadium, I take it back there.
Exactly.
So our game was the last game for the day in Doublehead Cabbage. Mr. Rene, I love softball, but that day, it's like softball was like a sugar in my mouth.
Okay.
That day. I mean, it's like everything looked easy playing the game.
Wow.
When that game finished, we won. My first team by myself. Carol and Edison Park said, Margaret, come here. So I got into the sweating. Carol said, Edison, I never see Margaret so happy all the years she been playing with us.
I could see that right now.
I never see Margaret so happy. It's like everything was just going the right way. And I was happy to playing with my home people, my family, and they were really, really, I would say, obedient. They were, you know, they were willing to learn. They were willing to be the champion. So they work with me a lot, and I work with them as well. And I always remember, do unto others that you would like others to do unto you, and say to others that you would like people say to you. Don't say mean things to them because they will be hurt, because if you say mean things to me, I'll be hurt as well. So the way I talk to them, that's why I think that team went the way it is. There is a little name that they still call me up to today. Even if they call me on the phone, they will never say Margaret, or sometimes they would say Megs. Because if they do something wrong on the field, I would say, time umpire. And I would go to her and I say, sweetie, that's not the way you do that. Don't do that. Don't do that. So they start calling me sweetie.
Sweetie. Okay, sweetie.
They call me sweetie. I would always say, sweetie, don't do that.
Okay.
So if I call one of them right now, they say, hi, sweetie. So that's my next name now. You learn, Mr. Rene.
But it's not only Fireheart Margaret, like I call you, but Sweetie. So we have supposed to just say Sweetie Fireheart Margaret.
Oh my, that's another long word. Long word. And that's the time when I did the show with Miss Ava. With the same Easy Does It. The name of the team was Easy Does It.
Easy Does It. That was your team.
Yes. And the come about that name is when I was doing the bleachers. I used to go and purchase the lumber and everything myself. And one team player was with me the day, and I said I need some heel strap and what size. And so she said, Margaret, how you know what that thing need? I said, I know. She said, how you know? I said, I just know. She said, you make everything easy for do. You say you that just like Easy Does It. I said, that's it. That's
Easy Does It.
That's the name of the team. Easy Does It. That's how you get the name.
Yeah. Well, Miss Margaret, you had a very wonderful career in softball, right? When you stopped playing softball, or stopped being connected with softball?
Mr. Rene, that was 2018. That was 2018. 2018, Mr. Rene, I really don't remember quite why, but what I could recall, no, Mr. Rene, it was 2019.
That must have been just before the pandemic then.
Pandemic was 2020.
2020, yeah, that was 2020. So it was
2019. It was not 18, it was 2019. Okay. And I decided, because I was telling the players, I'm getting older and I had the farm that I want to, focus on. So it's a little too crowded for me. So you guys, I will leave you with the gears and everything. Anything I can help you with, I would do. But they carried the team maybe like for a year and they didn't continue. But I can't continue either. I have the farm, to be taken care of. So it's the same year, 2019. I got a phone call from one of my cousin, Dan Flowers, from Burrell Boom. She was at the Nationals, at the playoff in Lars Bank, and she said, where are you sitting? And I said, I'm not at the game. And she said, where are you? I said, I'm at the farm, because that was when I was renovating the farm.
Okay.
That was when they fired the next day. So I was there the Sunday evening. I didn't go to the game because I was so into what the development of the so I wanted to be there at the house. And then the pandemic, then we are 23 now and hardly any softball going on again. Yeah, sadly, no.
So you maybe a push needs to be made to bring back softball, maybe, you think? Because all the giants are no longer around. But softball still is a very good sport, and it's a sport that Belize excelled in those years.
Oh yeah, softball. I love softball. Mr. Rene, I used to take a nap at my work, at my desk, and I'll be doing like that. I'm dreaming about softball. I'm dreaming about softball the way I used to love softball.
So you don't see yourself spearheading anything else anything in that direction ever again?
I don't think I have the capacity to do that. No, why? Because I have this work, I have my pig herding, I have the farm. I really don't have.
You forget to all of that. Okay, you tell them all of that because I know you're a very busy lady. No. You're very busy, Miss Margaret, and you just have a lot of energy. I don't know where you get the energy from. How you manage all the energy?
Mr. Rene, I always said to myself, I'm not blessed with riches, a whole millionaire, but I have enough to get by, which is really good. I can meet my bills. I'm happy about that, and I'm blessed with a whole lot of energy. And with the energy, you can get to where you want to go.
That's right.
You got the energy and good health. I thank God for that.
Now, Ms. Margaret, you told me earlier on that you did not go to the U.S. with the Belize softball team because you were getting married, right? Then you mentioned about being pregnant, right? Tell me about that side of your life now, the marriage and the children.
Okay, I had that first pregnancy was a girl. That's my loving daughter, Keisha Lockwood. My name was Lockwood first. I was married Lockwood. And that's Keisha. And 5 years later, I have her brother, Godfrey Lockwood. And the marriage had last 18 years. Two lovely kids. And just about when one was in high school and the other was going in, they were all, I would say, well, they still need us because they were into high school. But the marriage was going sour, really sour. So it put a little toll on me, but my husband left to the U.S. and he didn't came back. When he said he was coming back, he didn't came back, and he started life out there, and I carry on taking care of my kids here. But I must say, he never leave them. And I always tell my kids, your dad leave me. He didn't leave you. So he's still there for them. They are grown people, and he's still there for them. I say, just two spoiled kids. Because their dad is still loving with them. But we're still friends. He would just fly in the airport, and he would come and sit here, and he could eat all the food he wants. He doesn't care. He's like my big brother.
Okay.
It's okay.
Did you ever remarry or think of remarrying?
No, Mr. Rene. No, I'm still single up to this day. Okay. I tried dating, but it doesn't work for me. I think if it should come, I think God will sell him. Okay. I'm not looking for any.
Okay. I'm looking at today, Miss Margaret. Yeah, I like your candidness, your openness and your willingness to discuss everything and lay it all out there.
Truth, Mr. Rene. As long as you put the truth there, it's the truth.
Yeah.
We all face stuff in this life. Why hide it? We all face it. Yeah. There's something will hit us somewhere or the other, because the devil not forget nobody, He'll give you your peace too.
Yeah. So maybe before we continue, how important is it to always tell the truth?
It's very important because, Mr. Rene, when you keep on the line of the truth, you don't have to think what time you said the last time.
Yeah, exactly.
Why you don't have to think why you said it last time if you said the truth?
It's always there. Yeah.
So you just say it again because it's the truth.
Yeah. Agree? And your life is much more peaceful and organized once you deal with the truth, right?
It's the truth. I just rather just deal with the truth. It's so unfortunate, but it's the truth.
It is the truth. Right. And if it is so, it is. If that's so, that's so, no?
Can't change it.
Now, let's look at the Margaret Hendy of today now, right? You are still active, right? Give me a typical day in the life of Margaret Hendy.
A typical day?
Yeah. Well, you just talk about having pigs. You talk about selling food out here. You talk about community, your farm. And what's a typical day like for you with all these things you got going, all these activities you got going? Because here we are in mid-afternoon, and we're still at where you sell your food.
Typical day for me is, Mr. Rene, the first thing when I wake up in the morning, I open my eye. Thank God I'm alive. Yeah. I put my foot off the bed. Oh, yeah, I can stand. So, you start waking up now. What day is today? Oh, today, Wednesday. Make a hurry up. Chicken truck, they come today. So, I start planning. Well, not that I planned the day before, but when you fall asleep and you wake up all of a sudden and you have to wake up so early, you have to start thinking, what truck am I on today? And once I go to my bathroom and freshen up and change, and I come downstairs and everything start rolling for me for the day. And I try to get here at my job, maybe 10 in the morning. And this is my day work here. Well, see nobody can no more flights coming in, but I leave here. If I decide, today I'm going to the farm, so I go home, put away all this, I go to the back, see what's going on in my pig pen, wash them off, disinfect them, feed them, and on my way to the farm. Then I go and I tackle that, whatever day, dogs ready for me to feed them, go and walk around, check my coconut, my plantain, whatever. And if I feel like tapping my canoe and go up the river fishing, I do that, and by 8 o'clock I'm back in Ladyville.
So let's look at it. You live in Ladyville. Right? You go step by step now. You live in Ladyville. So here's where you sleep, in Ladyville, at home in Ladyville. No, you get up early in the morning and you do your food on fire heart, right?
Yes, I use 2 fire heart. 2 fire heart.
Tell them about the fire heart.
First of all, I have to be well stocked up with firewood. I have to be well stocked up with firewood. When I start in the morning, the first thing I do, the rice, the white rice and the rice and bean cannot cook with blazing fire. It got to be toned down. So for you to have a fire toned down, you have to have a fire before. So what I do, I would fry my plantain first, that the fire is, blazing. Need blazing for anything that you're frying or you'll be soaked up with oil. Yeah. Then I would start my rice and beans and my stew beans. Then the fire toned down. Then I would start doing my white rice and beans. And the other fire heart would be doing potato and stewed chicken. That's it for those 2 fire heart. They can hold like 3, but then move them off and I start with the other stuff like the beef, the cow foot. Then they have to be soft from in the night. That not cook so fast. That have to be on the coal simmering for it to be jelly. You can't just do that fast like chicken. Okay. So you have to definitely, without a doubt, have to have an advanced prep, whatever you do.
You're working around the clock. So now you by 10 o'clock you have to have all this ready to bring out here to sell, right? And let's establish, for those who don't know where you're at, that you are at the Philip Goulston International Airport. You tell us the site better. You describe it better.
I'm at the Philip Goulston International Airport, right directly across the parking lot. There's a zinc shed and some picnic tables with some, colorful curtains. And the food is like from in the back of the truck. And there's a table there that you can practically, it's not a buffet, but you can look and point out what you would like to have. And different type of drinks, different type of fruit drinks.
Okay. And you're often sold out, or?
Most of the time, Mr. Rene, most of the time. But now, like, we're dropping in the slow season, so you don't know, you calm down, you tone down with whatever you're doing. Yeah. So you don't leave with the leftovers. But should I have leftovers, I have so much dog and so much pig, Mr. Rene, I not throw away nothing. I feed them.
So how did you come by this spot, Margaret?
Mr. Rene, that's another long story. Boeing, remember? There was an incident, Mr. Rene, I sure everybody know when it happened. There was a problem at the brewery. And right there, they start shuffling a whole lot of things wrong. A whole lot of things was shuffling around. And my son used to work with me at the time. And I said, son, it's a lot of unrest here at this compound right now because of what had happened. And you know what? I think I will cancel my contract. And I did. I went upstairs and I canceled my contract, and that took me like 2 weeks to leave because of the lot of packing and stuff like that. And then I went back mobile. And I leave the country for a bit. And when I came back, I said, I was doing this in New York. I was doing this in Long Island for a while. Yes. I was doing it but only 3 days, 2 days for a week, Friday and Saturday.
And how long were you in the States at that time we're talking about?
About 4 months.
4 months, okay.
So, because I'm on a 6 months visa from the U.S., so I can't be staying that long. So, when I come back and I, take a little drive around and see what's going on, I start feeling bored at home. I say, I can start cooking. So, I drove back here one day and I went over talking to one of the taxi guys, and there was my cousin that worked at the rental over there, and he said, sweetie, what you doing? And I started talking to him in the parking lot, and he said, you know what? You and me, for we cook. I have a spot where I want to make you park right over there and sell. So I was doing that in the parking lot by the rental.
I think I could remember that.
And then there goes the airport start extending more. Yes, so they told me that I can go in there and over there, and I said, he said, don't worry, your clientele will still come and find you over there. And I said, I don't know, I'll think about it. So my cousin said, why you not go right by the window and ask the guy if you could, could use right over here? So, because there's where they sell garnaches right by the window, but they are closed. So he said, you can stay right here, and that's how I end up here.
Okay.
Yeah, that's how I end up right here.
And your clientele followed you, like you rightly said.
We get bigger.
Get bigger.
We get bigger. Because, Mr. Rene, coming out the parking lot, you would say it's only $4, but you add $4 every day for the month. You see that right there?
Yeah.
So now I don't have to pay $4 every day.
Okay.
Every day for 31 days. That's a bill you can pay at your house.
Okay.
So I'm here from a good while now.
So you cook at home, you prepare the food, bring it already prepared, and you sell it here out of the back of your truck, your SUV.
Mm-hmm. Everything, and with them type of pots there, they remain, if you go and touch them pot, they're still hot.
Okay.
They're still hot.
So the food is hot right throughout. And this big variety, you have this big variety every day, or there are some days they might not have one or two?
From the top to the pigtail. I don't have the oxtail today because the truck will bring the oxtail tomorrow. So definitely Saturday oxtail will be there. We have everything.
But Ms. Margaret, you have helpers who help you do this?
No, Mr. Rene, I do it all by myself.
Ms. Margaret, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 dishes, and you want to prepare that every day to sell every day. You could prepare 16 dishes to sell every day?
We tell only the truth, remember? The truth.
I know, but it's a difficult one to do,
I do it. So, Mr. Rene, you just have to stay organized. I just stay organized and just keep everything where I can easily find them in the freezer. You just stay organized. For me, I believe if I would have a helper, I'd be turning wrong and wrong. Oh, I'm left the knife right here. I'm going to turn around. But being it's only me and I spin around, it's right there. It's right there. It's right there. And another thing, when I get out here, I don't have any surprises. I wonder how the plantain burn. I wonder how the beans salty. Because it's only me, it keeps the same standards.
Yeah. And you develop your own recipes, right? Your own amounts that you put into to each dish, right?
Yes.
Condiments, right?
Yep. I do it most of the time by myself. Everything, I would say, everything. My daughter-in-law, she's a nurse. She works nights sometimes, days some night. My son, he works with BL, he works over there. We, 3 of us live in the same building, but they do their work, I do mine.
Mm-hmm. You work hard, Miss Margaret. You have somebody to be admired.
I feel like I just keep busy. I just love what I do. I don't feel like I work a day in my life. I love what I do.
As we wrap up our conversation with Margaret Hendy, she speaks of some of the challenges she has faced along the way, including having to rebuild after a fire destroyed the house on the family farm. We will have that for you after we hear from our partners, Honorable Kevin Bernard, the Barry, the Belize Tourism Board, and Shell Belize Limited.
In 2 years, Madam Speaker, we have built 3 new fully operational health centers, one in Coquetry, one in Belmopan, and another in Kikaka. In a matter of weeks, a health center in the community of Santa Marta will be completed. And thanks to the Minister of Tourism and Diaspora Relations, we are constructing a polyclinic in Placencia as we speak. We have totally upgraded health centers in Ladyville, in Hattieville, Valley of Peace, and in Georgeville. The one in Georgeville was just completed. That is tangibly working for the people.
We are the Barry, offering you great products, good service, and of course, the lowest prices in the entire country. Visit us in Belize City, Belmopan, San Ignacio Cayo, Orange Rock, and now in San Pedro, La Isla Bonita. The Barry. Get more? Feel less.
Shell V-Power with 3 times more cleaning and friction-reducing molecules. Go well. Go Shell.
Savor every moment.
Experience our country. Go the extra mile.
And just dive in.
We are Belizean travelers. Are you?
It don't matter what part of the jewel they come from. You that you and me that me. But guess what? All are we the one. See what I mean?
So now, yeah, we are at now. You stay out here until 2 o'clock in the evenings. After 2 o'clock, you go to the farm. You said you're going to put away the pots and pans. You don't wash them at that time. Just put them away.
From the farm, then I would do that.
Okay. So you go to the farm with what is left over to deal with the animals that you have at the farm.
Yes, I take before food for my dogs. Sometimes I would go and fish.
You told me about the fishing one. So you enjoy the evening at the farm, and then you come back home, and then you start to prepare for the following day.
And it won't be long either. By 9:30, 10, I work there and take my shower and relaxing, playing with my phone.
Oh yeah? You have time for that too?
Yeah. I would check the camera sometimes. Most of the time in the night, I would be checking the camera at the farm, and see things is okay. But I love what I do.
But are you here on weekends as well, Miss Margaret?
Sunday to Sunday, I work, Mr.
Sunday to Sunday, you don't take a day off? You don't take some time off?
Sometimes I do, Mr. Rene, but you will not find me take a day off and sitting down. I would maybe go out fishing, go to the sea. I go to the Keys fishing.
Okay. So you are always active, you're always on the go.
When I go fishing, I would have my own fish to sell. I don't have to go to the fish market.
Well, you're a real entrepreneur, Margaret. I congratulate you on that. Right.
Most of the time, I have my own fish. If I don't go, sometimes maybe my daughter-in-law and my son will take the boat out and they come back with the same fish in the same house. And the pork, I don't buy pork. I raise my own pigs. So most of the time, the only two meat truck would come to my gate is Rainland Meats, from Spanish Lookout. No, not Spanish Lookout. Blue Creek, and the chicken, Caribbean chicken. Other than that, I have my own. And when Rainland Meats come, he would bring beef and the cow foot. Then Caribbean chicken is just the chicken. Other than that, everything else. Not the big deal now. I buy the big deal.
You have to cut off a lot of pigs. Yes. Let's look at the farm now. Since you go there every day, right? What's the farm like? I know you took me there the other evening, and I had a good time there. I was even on that little pontoon ferry that you have there, and pulling myself across the river and that sort of thing. So I had a good time at your farm. But I think you would describe it better than I would. So tell me, let's talk about the farm.
The farm, Mr. Rene, like you know, at the beginning, that there is where I was born and raised. Yes. And when my mom left this life, my dad remarried, and we had a stepmother for like about 18 years. And suddenly one morning, my dad passed. He had an aneurysm. He didn't last for long. Like maybe I got the phone call like 2, and my son run to get him up. That was when I was at Boyne & Boyne. So I already opened the business. I was just waking up, like 2 o'clock in the morning. I used to have to go to Boyne really, really early to open up the canteen. And I was already awake when I get the phone call. And I need to go and open because I need to report to my boss that why you're not open the canteen, all these employees. So I told my son, just take the SUV and go and bring Grandpa for me. And when my son bring my dad at the canteen door at Boyne, all I do was loose my apron on and I tell my son to hold over. By this time, I already talked to my boss from the bureau, why I wasn't I wouldn't be in the canteen. Took my dad, and by 8 o'clock, my dad was gone. Suddenly. He umpired a cricket game in Lemonal this Saturday. Monday morning, he was dead. So anyway, Dad remarried and carried on his life there with his new wife for 18 years. And that was it. After Dad died, I said, well, nobody else would be living here because his wife was from Coruscant and she went back to where she came from. And one day my sister-in-law was living next door and she said, you know, Margaret, your dad's place is growing up in bush. You know that you're the only one that can clean up this place. I said, Hasini, I don't know if I want to do that. That's a lot of work. She said, and you not gone to your dad's house since he passed. I was so emotional, I didn't want to go. She said, the next time you come here, I'll take you over there. And I clean forgot about that and went to visit them one Sunday. That was when I was start doing the work at the ball field with the building the bleachers. I take a walk over there. Okay. So I went and I looked at the whole thing. It was very emotional, losing him and see this whole place turn like a abandoned, you know. And I came home and started thinking about it. Said I will give it a try. And the more I try, the more I go there and spend time, more I start cleaning up the place, start looking better, the more I put in. Yes, I more get into it. And until one day, I walk in the far corner down the river and I start looking and I take a picture, but it was with the little digital, you know, the little digital camera that they had. And then I look in it, I said, this thing, it looks like a postcard. So then I said, you know, if I clean all these bush from along the riverbank, maybe leave the bigger trees, maybe it could look good. And the more I start putting it, the more I start see this place look better. But now I said, it couldn't have been before my dad died because he had all these cattle and all the horse and all everything, like animals, that he sustained us from. So sustain us or make the place beautiful? Which one? You have to choose. So I said, okay, well, I'll keep cleaning up this place. And then I get to where I decide, you know, maybe I could repair the house. So I get Radler Construction, Mr. Rodney Flowers, to go there and did an estimate for me and see what I can do. And he was at this cricket game in Lord's Bank and he called me, he said, Margaret, where are you at the game? I said, Mr. Flowers, I don't reach the game yet. He said, well, we are sitting at the bleachers. He and his brother, my cousin Larry Flowers, are sitting on the bleachers. So he said, I'm at the bleachers, come, we are in the middle. So I went and I sit beside him and he said like this to me. He said, Megs, why you want to raise the house? So I said, I don't like it low like that. He said, you know what, broke it down? And build our next one. I say, but Mr. Flowers, if I broke down this house, I won't have to build a bungalow where I don't like because that's my budget. I can't build one upstairs cement house, not right now. That's why I may want to raise it and I may do cement downstairs. He said, well, you know, I just made a suggest to you. You know that now I really look back and think of what Mr. Flowers has said to me. I should have break down the house. I should have took his advice because I start pumping resource into the house, raise the house. Then when the house was going up, you know, certain part didn't, you know, like kind of move away. And then I get scared of, I didn't want to go near it because it was an ugly scene when you raise a house and all on them big. Afterwards, when they start doing the blocks and, you know, like the bell beam, and now they will bring down the house back on the then I start feeling a little more content and then I start moving again from there and start renovating the downstairs and start looking good. But right on the finishing of the upstairs, all the sheet rocks, that was when the sadness hit me when it catch fire. I put all this resource into this building and all the storm guard windows came the Friday, the minute I bring them. It was almost $5,000 in windows, Mr. Renee. My son take them up for me the Saturday. I stay there Saturday night. I leave Sunday evening. And by 9 o'clock, by the time, before I reach out here, I wasn't out here when I get the phone call. When my brother said, your house is on fire. I couldn't believe it. All the windows I just bought, all the windows didn't even go in.
Didn't go in. So your last, what was already in the house and the windows you had to put in the house, did you find out what caused the fire?
Mr. Rene, I absolutely don't know. Absolutely don't know. And listening to the radio yesterday morning about the fire that the lady lost her life with her children, it makes me think a lot when I hear things like that in maybe faulty wiring. I was listening to that because there was 3 wire that I asked my brother that was living nearby, why these 3 wire? I just can't figure this out. This is supposed to be where the light switch was. Why 3 is through the same hole? I can't figure it out. And that was the next day the house burned out. So I try to put it behind me. Like I said, when you stumble, you just brush off and keep going. And here I am today. I'm happy that I could have afforded to, build it back and start.
You built it back, Margaret, and that's the main thing.
Yes, yeah. I did. I
You
did.
not just accept that, okay, it's gone, and that's that. You built it back. It shows that you have there's a lot of resilience in you, to move forward.
Yes. There were some Sundays that I would go up and I start, dragging away zinc and start putting things away. Mr. Rene, there was one Sunday I went up, but I took one of the 150 water. It was frozen, and I was just pulling away things. And I said I wasn't going to stay long, but I putting away things, and I had the bottle of water by the coconut tree, and I go and sip when I'm thirsty, and the water done. So I said, okay, I keep moving stuff and throwing away stuff and picking up stuff. Mr. Rene, there's a little more water in the bottle, and drink it, and I say, I had a brand new refrigerator in this house. And now I only have this bottle. I have not one more drop of cold water for me to drink. And nobody to give me a drink of water. Mr. Rene, I start crying.
Oh, okay, I can imagine it.
And Mr. Rene, that was the last time I cried. I say, you know what? I'm going to build back this house. I was walking, driving. Every time I drive in through, I look on my left, right behind the Ladyville Evangelical Church. When I was renovating my house, every time I passed through there, my head was turning on this wooden building that was going up. And I said to myself, I never see a house go up so fast. Who built a house so fast? While I was renovating my house. Yeah. And I always turn, I said, that's a pretty house. Did you know that's the house that I can copy off to build a new house? I was cooking one morning, my son was at home, and I said, Godfrey, you know who they built a house behind Mr. Kirk Mackenzie? He said, I think it's Miss Karen brother from England. I say, I think I want to see it. No, I was way ahead in my cooking, Mr. Rene. I turned off everything. It's like something just hit me right away. And I said, let's go with me. When I went there, Miss Mackenzie came out because they know me good. Miss Mackenzie said, yes, Margaret. I said, Karen, I would want to see the house back there. He said, Jervan, her brother from. I said, can I see it, please? He said, yes, Margaret. He said, I hear what happened. He said, sure, let me get the keys. She gonna get the keys and take me up there. And when Karen give me a walk in the house, I see and it comes with this 6-foot veranda. The L, she said, yes. She got and she get the card and she showed me the receipt. He said, take the card. He said, and after work you could go right down now. Triple L, that they bill it. Okay. I go home and I come back out here. Man, straight at Triple L the afternoon. And I give me the so much by so much by so much. The price, like 10 by 12 them. And I choose from there. Every night I sit down and try to figure which one I want based on the price. And if I can turn it around, because I'm going to use the same foundation. And Mr. Rene, then people did that in less than 3 weeks. But at the time, they have their business in Mascal Road and they have a blocks factory as well.
black scene time.
So remember now sorry, Mr. Renee. Remember now the road behind my house stopped right by my fence. But when dry, you could go all the way and come through Maple and go on Bliskin Road.
Okay.
So they bring the material through there just before the rain, because when it started raining, they couldn't do that. So they bring all the material and stack them there. And I have a house in the back will never burn, and they stack the tools in there, and then just traffic themselves every day. And they leave 2 guys there while they get livable where they could make it in less than 3 weeks.
So you have your house there, and you have everything you want in your house, because I've been in there. You gave me a tour of it, and you're very comfortable there, right?
Yes, I love it there, Mr. Renee. That's my little peace of mind, my sanctuary.
I'm happy for Hello FM, the players I get there.
I think that's the only radio station. The guy that had installed the water in the air, he moved to the U.S. and when he came visit the other day after the hurricane. I told him about it, and we couldn't do that then because the flood was up from the hurricane. So he left from his visit to Belize and went back. So I decided, maybe I can get somebody, the guy that was doing this right here for BL Contractors. I asked him, and he said, I come and sit at your farm. And yes, he said, I can do that. But I didn't get it done, and I need water at the house since I'm already used to my convenient. So I decided I'm going to put it back down the riverbank.
Sink it again under the river.
Under the river, and then that was my brother and the other guy. So it was only 3 of us that did it this time because we already have an idea.
You knew what to do it.
Yes, so that's how I have my water.
So the water pipe runs down
under the river
bank, on the bottom of the river, right? How deep is that river? You think it went down?
I measure it, Mr. Renee. It's not a thing. I measure it. It's 15 feet deep. Okay. And I measure it from couple distance from that angle and the other angle.
And of course, when you say 15 feet, it's when the river is low.
Yes, when it's low.
When it's high, it's double that.
Oh, man, it's double that. Yeah. And I'm encouraging other family members down on the same side of the river I'm living on to, try it. You might save yourself some work.
So, Miss Margaret, how it feels to be selling, because you told me earlier that you sell everything, most of the things that you sell is what you grow, right, or raise. How does that feel? And how important is it? Maybe you could talk to that a bit so that maybe and inspire other folks to do the same.
I love planting, Mr. Renee. I love plant vegetables. I plant vegetables when I was on the lockdown. That was what kept me going. I planted a whole lot of vegetables. I was living at the farm, by the way, when the pandemic, and I planted a whole lot. And it's a good thing, you could eat from your backyard. Yes, I know the folks that they do that for sale. They need a living as well, but you can help yourself and live from your own backyard too.
At least help yourself. Yes. Like cassava, easy to plant, for example. Miss Margaret, is there anything you want to say that I did not ask you?
Mr. Renee, my final words would be, I believe life can be a lot easier if we dig a little deeper. We might find what we're looking for right at home.
Yeah.
It's just the effort that you put in. Let's not complain too much. For me, when the going gets rough for me, I just let my tough get going. Exactly. That's how I get by. Yeah. I don't lean in the corner and feel pitiful. I just get up and just tackle.
Yeah. So you would also say then that nothing worthwhile comes easy.
No, nothing comes easy. Just get up and get it done.
Yeah.
That's how I do my daily life.
Get up and get it done. But one of the important lessons to get it done is to find your passion, find what you love, and you have certainly found your passion, and you have certainly found what you love, right?
Yes, I love cooking. Like I said, I don't work a day in my life. I love cooking.
You love cooking, you love your farm.
I love raising my pigs. Yes.
It's all about love, Miss Margaret. You see.
I do.
Yeah. You love what you do.
I love what I do.
Yeah, it's all about love, right? But like I always say, love is a choice, right? We choose to love, and when we choose to love is when you don't work a day in your life, when you choose to love and love what you do.
Yep. I don't struggle in what I do or wake up, oh, I'm got to cook again. And no, I just jump at it. That's what I like doing. And I would leave here, I go home and put away my stuff. And I would love to go back by my pig pen and wash them, disinfect them, and feed them. I love that.
Miss Margaret chooses to love, and we all have a choice. We can choose to do something, and that's not in the line of love, and we can choose to love. And because you choose to love, you know what we usually say, Miss Margaret? We usually say, Belize and beyond. Thanks for choosing love. Belize Watch. Knowledge of the past, impacting the present, building the future.
Celebration time. It don't matter what part of the jewel they come from. You that you and me that me. But guess what?